evening, gentlemen. Good morning, gentlemen. Our Mighty Men with Purpose men's group, and we have from different parts of, mostly Canada today. We have Randy, who's in the Philippines, and James is moving, who was in the Colombia. He's moving, so I guess he's busy. So anyway, welcome. My name's Dean Noblet. We've been part of this men's group for 20 plus years now, and we get together monthly and have a chat about things that's going on in the world and in our lives and spirituality and just chewing the fat around life in general and sharing and supporting each other. So thanks for joining us, gentlemen. This month we're going to be hearing from Chris Preeb, who will take us on a bit of a discussion about belief systems and tell us a bit about what he does to help people with that concept. So I'll hand it over to you, Chris, and tell us a bit about yourself, and then we'll go and have a bit of a chat. Over to you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you so much, Dean. So yeah, and I've been involved with this group for just over a year, and it's been very helpful, and I love all the guys are here. They're all amazing. Um, so what I do primarily, my history, about 12 years ago, I went to a hypnotist because I had a bit of a limiting belief, but I wasn't sure. I wasn't aware of that. I went to a hypnotist initially for weight loss, and because I knew there's something going on below the surface, and I couldn't understand what it was. I went into the hypnotist over a series of questions that really had me looking inside. Um, it wasn't about the weight. For me, it was about um, like the topic tonight, what a limiting belief that I had that I wasn't enough, and I needed to do more, be more, or in my case, put more into my body to prepare. That absolutely opened my eyes and changed my life. After that, I studied NLP, so neuro linguistic programming and hypnosis, and really I let myself integrate what I learned for probably about 4 or 5 years. Um, my mind expanded. There was amazing things that were now available to me, and I integrated them just into my being. Jumped back into more hypnosis. Studied with some fantastic trainers from Toronto, from Canada, from the UK, and this is now. I remember when I first started studying, the one prevailing thought was, why doesn't everybody know about this? It would make so much more sense and make people's lives much smoother, and they would be more in control. And so about a year ago, I decided, okay, this is going to be where I'm going to be heading my focus. And I opened my hypnosis practice officially, and I'm loving it. I'm still at this point still working full time and jumping into this and looking to transition from one to the other. And there's a bit of a limiting belief involved with that too, and I'll get to that in a little while. So that's kind of what brings me to where I am today. So belief systems. Belief systems are, it's something that on the fundamental level, it's responsible for who we are, the choices we make, and the kind of lives that we live. Our beliefs, more importantly, our limiting beliefs, determine how we show up in the world and also how we hide from the world. Define how successful we are and how successful we're not going to be. Our beliefs make us who we are and can keep us from being who we want to be. So what is a belief? I think the easiest way to talk about what a belief is, a belief is something a thought that's been repeated over and over again with a heavy emotional charge to it. So, and they run completely below the surface. They run unconsciously. Beliefs are important and useful and necessary and they're not true. They're important, they're useful, they're valid, and they're necessary, but they're not. They're not true. If they were true, they'd be called something other than beliefs. They'd be called truths.
Mhm.
What I believe is not may not be what anybody else believes. Brad, do you have a question or anything? And by any
No,
if anybody has a question
no,
or anything, put the hand
truth,
up.
truth is the start of my story. So
There
that's
we
perfect.
go. Nice. We'll roll that in nicely at the end. Um, so finding out that your beliefs are not really true, that can really shake people up. For some people, that actually shakes the complete fiber of who they are. For me, and with hypnosis, when that happens, that crack, that little crack is a way to get in there and expand their model of the world because our beliefs shape our world. Um, beliefs, the beliefs. So if you look at the logical levels of existence, this is Dilt's logical levels. The very lowest level we have our environment. The next level up from that is our behavior. So what we do in the world. So the environment is the world that is around us. Our behavior is what we do in the world. Above that is our capabilities. So the things that we do, our talents, our skills, and the capabilities affect our behavior, and our behavior affects our environment. As you move up these levels, each one influences the one below that. Above capabilities, we have our values and our beliefs. So that's what's important to us. So if we change our values and our beliefs, our capabilities will change because we have new options open to us. There's new options open to us, our behaviors change. And then how we show up in the world changes. How that ties back to a belief is if you have an empowering belief, everything's going great. If your belief, so one of my empowering beliefs is that I'm very creative. I don't have to work at it. I can just be creative for whatever reason. Doesn't matter whether it's music, whether it's words, just being creative and as part of a team, collaborative team. That's one of my core beliefs. I've always believed that. A disempowering belief that I had was that I wasn't enough. For a long time, that belief that I wasn't enough informed my behaviors. And what happens is there's something in our unconscious or our subconscious called the reticular activating system. And that's like a filter. So our beliefs really control our filters and what we see the world. So if I believe that a certain dog is dangerous, if that's my belief, I'm going to look for that dog. I'm going to see that dog as dangerous. I'm going to find evidence to support my belief. If it's a negative belief, I'm going to find evidence. That evidence is going to affect my behavior. My behavior is going to affect how I show up in the world. If I change that belief, that's also going to change my reticular activating system. And I'll find evidence of my new belief. And my new belief will then show up in my behavior and how I behave in the world. So a lot of people as a hypnotist, a lot of people will come to me handful. Not smoking is not my forte, but someone comes to me and they're smoking and they want to not smoke. When I talk to them, they have a belief that they're a smoker. It's almost at an identity level. Their identity is I'm a smoker. It's really hard to stop smoking if your belief is I am a smoker. So through hypnosis, I can go in there and with that little crack in the fabric when they realize that their beliefs aren't true. All your beliefs are just that, they're beliefs. If I can change that person, and when that person changes to, wait a minute, were you always a smoker? Well, no, I wasn't always a smoker. So there was a time in your life when you were a non-smoker. Well, yes. Suddenly that becomes a bit of a crack and it opens up and it's like, well, let's expand that. And then that belief can then be brought into the present day. And then they're no longer fighting for the cigarettes because their belief has changed. There is a chemical portion to smoking, obviously, but the belief is stronger than the chemicals. If you believe, so there's that old quote about whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. I think it's more like if your beliefs are such that you can or your beliefs are such that you can't, the outcome is predetermined by those beliefs. So again, a lot of our core beliefs are formed typically in childhood. And again, with a belief being a repeated pattern or a repeated thought with an emotional charge to it, words, if you think about this is a really simple model of how our mind works, but our left hemisphere is responsible for logics, logic, the ABCs, the 1, 2, 3s, reason. The right hemisphere is responsible for emotions, creativity. So a belief, let's say it's a phobia. If you have a belief that elevators are dangerous, logically you know that they're not, but because a belief has that emotional charge, the emotion will take over. If there's ever conflict between the logical brain and the emotional brain, the emotion always takes over. So when the belief has that emotional charge, that's why it's hard to just logically say, no, I don't need to be afraid of that elevator. Hypnosis works with the emotional brain. That's where the beliefs are held, and that's why you can go in there. And when you're dealing with the emotional side, when you can change things at an emotional level, you change the emotion to that thought, it breaks the thought down. And then the belief changes, and then your behaviors change. There is is anybody okay with that? Am I following that so far? Beautiful.
Excellent.
Excellent. So if you have a belief that's empowering, great. Keep using those, and that will influence your life in positive ways. The issue is when you have a negative belief system that is disempowering. And you'll know those because typically what's happening is logically you want this. And it can show up as self-sabotage. You want to make more money. But then something always seems to happen to knock you off that path. Now, when you were young, if you heard the belief that money is the root of all evil, if that's what you believe on a core level, your unconscious mind, your reticular activating system is not going to let you do that because being evil is wrong. So you want to make money, but yet money is the root of all evil. You're always going to be thrown off course until you can go back inside, find out where that belief is held or what the belief is. You change that belief and you can bring that new thought, that new belief all the way through your life. Suddenly, it's like you put on a different set of glasses and you're seeing all these different things because your belief has changed what your reticular activating system is looking for. So that's kind of the brief outline of what beliefs are. And again, because beliefs have that emotional charge, to work with a belief, you really need to go into the emotional side of the brain, and that's where hypnosis goes in. And you can talk directly to the unconscious mind. There is somebody here printed this off because there's an email that came out earlier that I thought this was really a good statement for tonight. So every person is responsible for the creation of themselves and their lives in the image of their own thinking and believing. As individuals think and believe, so their lives will reflect those very beliefs. changing a belief changes your thinking, and then your life will change. And we all got that email because Dean sent that email out. Dean knows all about belief systems and changing belief systems in the work that he does. And what he does is a little bit different than what I do. But around beliefs, it's the same thing. When you have a negative belief, you need to go in there and change that belief, or it's going to keep showing up in your life over and over again. It's like that. It's like having a one of your tires is low on air. Doesn't matter how you turn the wheel to compensate. It's always going to keep pulling that one way towards that tire until you change the tire. So does anybody here have any either thoughts on beliefs or just any awareness about negative beliefs that they once had, or they might still have?
Anyone?
Anyone? And you can just put your hands up. I'm not going to want to single anybody out if you're thinking. Randy, there you go.
Unmute. Just unmuted. Yeah, what you're saying is so true, but maybe you have some suggestions to follow up on it. I tried hypnotism to stop smoking, for example, years and years ago. No, it wasn't smoking. It was biting my nail. And I tried that. It was very expensive. Went to somebody at the University of Toronto and did the whole spiel there. And then I think before I got home, I chewed off every nail I had. It was a terrible experience. So to the smoking one, this is just a little of my background. Maybe you have some suggestions. The smoking one, I quit myself because exactly what you said. I considered I'm not a smoker.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a smoker. That's just a behavior. And that was maybe the beginning of trying to being able to manage my life a little bit better. So this is such a powerful thing, really, your behavior, because you can change it like that if you can see yourself from the outside. And I guess that's what a therapist or a second or third party can do for you. So I don't know, like you could make making a list right now actually of behaviors I would like to change, but something you're not aware of, right? But how can you help, given my experience with the hypnotism?
Mm-hmm.
What I don't know if that brings up anything to your mind, but what went wrong there? I don't know what happened, because I spent a lot of money. I was fully invested in doing it. Actually, you know what it was? I think it was the personality of the person that I went to see. Just didn't.
Exactly.
We didn't. Yeah, we didn't.
Big factor.
Yeah, and they were highly touted and all that, but it just didn't connect for me. So I've answered my own question. Thank you.
Sometimes just letting somebody empty out, really, and a lot of times with a lot of change work, it's about giving somebody space to just work through what they need to work through. My question to you right now, though, is: are you chewing your nails?
Yeah.
You're still chewing your nails. Okay. Well, obviously, it didn't work, and like I said, really, it has to be a good match, because for anybody to open up, because again, it's emotional, and you can go pretty deep with a lot of this stuff. If you don't have that rapport, that trust with the person you're dealing with, you're not going to feel safe. Particularly, your unconscious won't feel safe, and it's going to put up a wall.
Mm-hmm.
And you're not going to get through that wall. That's not going to happen until there's safety there, because one of the prime directives of our unconscious is to keep us safe. If it feels that we're not safe, it's gonna put a wall up, and nothing is going to get through. I can't say other than that what happened, because I wasn't in the session. But again, if you didn't, when you showed this, that says a whole lot, because there's conflict there between you and the therapist. if there's conflict there, again, they're not going to be able to go in there and make some change because there has to be trust involved. You need to be able to feel that, have that rapport there, and that's why you said you did you used to smoke and then you
Yeah.
stopped.
Oh,
Well,
yeah.
you wanted to stop. There's a trust between the conscious and the unconscious that you have, that once you decided it, okay, I don't want to be a smoker anymore. I'm going to be a non-smoker. Once that became the belief, the behavior was fairly easy to get rid of, right?
I think I know,
Good
and
point. Good point.
I know this is a discussion, not a therapy session particularly, but I think I would look forward to discussing this with you more because
Absolutely.
I feel comfortable talking with you about these things, and you have a good grasp of the various aspects, which are basic. I think that's the thing, right? It's that rapport.
Yes.
So we were already there. So
Yeah.
that's a good thing, and it's the behaviors. Sometimes you need people to point them out. Sometimes again, it's not a session. I apologize, but it's a public declaration of something that can work, that can be very effective, or it can turn out negative because of the pressure that you might bring upon yourself. And that's something I could maybe discuss with you at another time, and how to
Absolutely.
deal with that. Yeah. Oh, good. Thanks.
Absolutely. No, for sure. And I find it could just be me, but I do know other hypnotists that they are worried about being, the best, the most famous, whatever, and it's about them. And if my focus was about me, I'm not going to be able to help you. If their focus is about them and having them look good, really, I what I do is client focused. And for the most part, what I'm working on with now is content free. So I don't need to know sort of what the issues are. Your unconscious knows, and I'm invested in your outcome. I don't know about the other hypnotist. Again, I can't say I wasn't at that session, but the fact that you're still biting your nails, well, they might turn into kidney stones one day. It's not good.
Yeah, yeah. Well, you see, and there's a million excuses, and I'm sure you've heard it all. We can discuss it further, but I blame my mom. At 96, she still would bite her nails at times, and then not. And why is that? So I grew up around that behavior, so
Right.
that was normal. That would be okay, and it was a constant fight. But and even deeper, I think it was maybe we've all experienced this, where the fight, the battle against something becomes so commonplace every day of our lives, it becomes part of our personality, and we don't want to we don't want to lose that.
Right.
That's
So
an old friend, not so dear, but it's an old friend.
so what I just heard you
Deeply
there
rooted belief.
was deeply rooted belief. You just said that you grew up and biting your nails was okay and it was normal. At a fundamental level, do you want to change behavior that you believe is okay and that you believe is normal?
Well, that's the thing. It's normal, but it's not okay.
So now
It's unwanted. It always
right.
was, but there was somehow an excuse, right?
Mm,
Because you look around as a kid, you're a sponge, and these people do it, so this person does it, so it's okay.
exactly. Right. Most of our beliefs are really ingrained by the time we're about 7, because we learn our beliefs from our environment that we grew up in, because we are sponges. And if mom and dad both smoke, well, the smoking is okay, because if it was anything but okay, that goes against the people that you love. So then that would mean if they're not okay, that's a dangerous place for a child. So when my parents are okay, whatever they do by default is also okay. So if your mom was biting her nails, like you said, that's normal. That's okay. Now it's unwanted. At a deep level, you still might be fighting that little child that says, but it's normal, it's okay.
Mm-hmm.
Dean.
just while we're on the subject of biting your nails, I remember when I was a kid, right? This is interesting because of the two different environments of Randy growing up and me growing up. I used to bite my nails as a kid, right? But my dad hated it, and he would yell at me every time he'd see me biting my nails. He'd say, "Stop biting your nails! Stop biting your nails!" Of course, I'd stop because I didn't want to get in trouble. So it didn't take too long. I don't remember how long, but I stopped biting my nails because kept getting told off by my dad, and so that changed. It wasn't all right to bite your nails, whereas Randy's situation it was. Well, mine it wasn't, and I hadn't bit my nails for years because I was told it was bad. So interesting, the different programming.
Yes, two sides, two opposite sides of the same belief.
Hmm.
Biting your nails
Mhm.
biting your nails is okay and it's normal. You didn't say good. You said it was okay and normal. And then Dean, biting your nails is bad. It was like, okay, I don't want to do that. We're very impressionable as when we are kids, and those patterns continue with us.
When I visited my mom's mom, my grandma, and she saw my nails, she would slap my hands. That's bad. So then I associated her with negativity, right? She was a bad person because she would discipline me and physically strike me for something that was normal in my household. She wouldn't. She would treat her daughter, my mom, a little differently. I guess I don't recall, but that was so. That it's funny, the behaviors. We're about behaviors. That's
100%.
how you determine who a person is, right? How do they behave? And the beauty is these things can be changed.
100%. And that belief that you had there was so strong that rather than changing that belief when your grandmother would say it was bad, you said her behavior was bad. That belief was held so strong in you. Your reticular activating system, like I said, is going to find proof, right or wrong. It's going to find proof that this is good because it's okay and normal for my parents. Anybody who doesn't believe that, could they be right? Was never an option. It was her behavior is wrong. So it became about somebody else for you to protect that belief. And we will protect our beliefs at all costs. We will fight. There's very few things that we will fight and die for. Beliefs is one of them. Like beliefs, we will fight and die for our beliefs.
Especially the ones from age 0 to 7.
100%, absolutely, because that's who we are for most of our lives at that point.
And
then
that's
what happens? Okay, go ahead.
That's where my life. My mother was an awful woman, an awful person, and she was for extremely bad between 0 and 7, and that causes problems. She was a devouring woman. You know what a devouring woman. So yeah, so that's very important. Everything she did was negative to me. So
And
causes
I mean,
causes problems.
My heart breaks for that. And the good thing is, the best thing is that as adults, once we're aware of the fact that they're our beliefs, and again, they're valid and they're everything but true. Because the beliefs that your mother imprinted on you are not true. Because they helped you become who you are right now. But then as an adult, you have the opportunity to change that. And you can go, listen, I don't want to, if you have a limiting belief that, like I said, for me, it was, I wasn't enough. My limiting belief that I got to get over I'm getting over now with some work is I always grew up with get a good job and you'll be safe. So for me, working for somebody else equaled safety. Well, safety is important to me. Now, as an entrepreneur, I gotta work with that because my belief is that safety involves working for somebody else. So then by working for myself, there's an element of, maybe it's not safe.
Mhm.
However, there's so many people I know that are entrepreneurs that are the safety is there. So again, these beliefs, they'll come up and they come up and we deal with them and life gets better because we can. Oleg, you have your hand up.
I dug inside my past trying to find a limiting belief. And what I discovered is I recalled that I've been told in my childhood and for like that's kind of built inside me that you have to be shy. You don't have to stand up um, above somebody else.
Mm,
You just have to be shy, and that's kind of I feel really damaged my personality in the past. So I had to overcome that, and I still have a trail from that belief that was enforced to me by my parents.
right.
That's an
And
example.
your awareness of that, is really the huge first part to getting through that is that awareness. So I mean, kudos to you for having that awareness. And then what would you rather have instead? Or how would
Well,
you be instead?
I believe like now I realize
Power.
that being shy is kind of being weak rather than being strong.
Hmm.
It's kind of being shy is like hiding behind somebody else and rely on someone instead of like being responsible yourself by on your actions. That's how I see that.
Okay. Again, how do you want to show up instead? Rather than that, how do you want to show up instead? You talked about strength or being shy is everybody is being weak and relying on somebody else. How do you want to show up instead?
Well, I already kind of overcame that belief by really starting to speak up instead of staying shy and quiet.
Nice.
Really standing up and asking the questions. When somebody
Yep.
else rather like I'm kind of stay silent. That is safe to stay
Hmm.
silent.
So you're going to challenge that belief. I like that.
Mhm.
Yeah. It's kind of for me it became more adventurous to ask question and kind of throw yourself out into this mud of unknowingness or throwing yourself into the risk.
Nice.
Become empowered. Become empowered.
Yeah,
Love it.
but really, why I recalled shyness as a limiting belief is it really reflected me on my approach to the girls. Okay, to find a girlfriend. That was really hurt me in my adolescence years. Okay, I was really struggled because of my shyness.
Okay. Gene.
It's over now, like, but still, I always kind of, I still have some kind of black spot in my memory.
Little bit of residual there. Yeah. There's always,
Yeah.
unless if we can knock that out and there's different ways that you can work with that. And again, being aware of that and naming it. When you can name something, it can't hide from you anymore.
Mhm.
So when you can dig in and you're not afraid to name what it is and say it out loud, it can no longer hide from you.
Name saying like you name yourself to be a smoker.
Or just you can name that shyness, whatever it is that's
Okay.
holding you back. You can when you say it, that shyness, I have that limiting belief of being shy. Okay, so then that can be dealt with now because it's known. When you don't see it, you can't deal with it. But when you do some searching and some deep work, you can then name things and go, okay, this I want to deal with this. And it's like you thingify something and you take it from being internal and you can externalize it and you can look at it and go, okay, this. And you dissociate and it becomes, so just try this, Oleg. Just think about where that shyness is in your, where it was in your body. When you think about that shyness, where in your body is it?
Like maybe in the chest.
Okay. So just that shyness that's in your chest, just imagine reaching into that chest and grabbing that shyness and pulling. So do it right now. Just reach into your chest where that shyness is, pull it out and hold it in front of you. Now just look at that shyness and name whatever that shyness is. Just say, I see you.
Yeah, I see you, my shyness.
What color is that shyness? What color is it?
White.
It's white? Okay. Is there a shape to that shyness?
Just a ball.
Just a ball? Okay. Now it's a white and it's a ball and it's out in front of you.
Yeah.
Is it moving in any direction? Because usually what happens is, in order for us to feel something, it has to be movement. What direction is that white ball that's in front of you? What direction is that moving?
I don't see it moving. I see it alive and kind of vibrating, not necessarily moving.
Okay, vibrating. Okay, perfect. It's vibrating,
Yeah.
which is excellent. Now, what do you want to have instead? That white, what color would you rather have it be?
Blue.
Blue. Okay, so just use your imagination and look at that and now change that to blue. Change that to blue now.
Yeah.
Now it's blue.
Works.
Now, the shape that it is, that round shape, that's spherical, circular shape, does that shape work for you, or do you want it to be something else?
Well, I would like it to be dissolved.
Just dissolved.
Yeah, like evaporate.
Okay. So then just do
Because
this.
it's already outside of me. I don't need that. I would like it to evaporate and can disappear.
So then make that happen. Just look, whatever it was there, just allow it to evaporate because it's right in front of you. Just allow it to evaporate.
Okay. Like this.
Okay. So now it's gone. Now, the color blue, that was the color that you wanted, right? So what we'll do is we always want to avoid a void. So we pulled something out. So now there's a void. So that blue, that color blue that you wanted, just imagine that blue, your perfect blue, is going into your chest where that old thing was. And now that blue is going in. And imagine that blue in your chest, just radiating all throughout your chest. Is there anything else you would like to have in there where that old thing used to be?
I would like to replace that void with the not replace, to refill that void with the confidence.
Okay. What color is confidence to you?
Well, blue.
Blue. Okay. So that confidence, that blue. So fill that void. Just imagine filling that void. Just replacing that, filling that up. That used to be that other thing, and now it's confidence.
Right.
So that blue make that blue. Take 3 deep breaths, and as you take a deep breath in, allow that blue to just expand, and allow that blue, that confidence, your confidence, to expand throughout your body. Beautiful. Is there anything else that you need to make that blue, that confidence, your confidence, perfect for you?
Just strengthen this new belief.
Strengthen that new belief. Okay, so now just shake that off for a second. Sort of shake off. Now just try to go find that old shyness and find that you can't find it any longer. Look for that old shyness And the more you look, the more it just sort of drifts away and fades away. Really
Yeah,
try to
makes sense.
find that old shyness. And the more you do, the more you look for it, the harder you look for it, the more you try to find it, it just drifts away and fades away and is
It's not
replaced
with
by
me
that.
anymore.
Can you find that shyness now, or is it gone?
No, it's gone.
Nicely done.
Thank you.
Nicely done. When you can name something and you thingify it, you can deal with it. So Oleg, nicely done.
Yeah, I agree with you. It's easier to work with the subject than with a fiction.
Exactly. And you did that perfectly.
All right. Okay.
And just for the rest of the rest of the night, make sure every time you're breathing in, just allow that blue, that confidence, your blue, your confidence, just to every breath, just that blue gets bigger and bigger. And just enjoy that blue. Sorry, Dean, go ahead.
Okay,
Awesome.
that was awesome. Because what you're saying is, and we've said this often to people, if you don't know what you're dealing with, you can't deal with it. So what Chris is saying is bringing out, turning it into an awareness and being able to see it. Then you have the power. You have the power to deal with it. If you don't have any awareness, you got no power around it because you don't know what you're dealing with.
Right.
So that was perfect. But I just want to add, we've got about 15 minutes to go. So if anyone else wants to jump in, I'm realizing that, all the beliefs that we take on as kids between 0 and 7, they're not even ours. They're not even our own beliefs. We get them from everybody else. None of them are our beliefs, but we take them on as our own. Just quickly, the big one for me growing up was I wasn't good enough, and there's many people who have that one around worthiness and not being good enough. And because that was a big one for me, a lot of the clients I have are dealing with not being good enough, because in actual fact, I'm dealing with externalized aspects of myself when we do with clients. So I'm not surprised, but that was something that I got from my dad, right?
Yep.
And you're told you're not good enough, and you're criticized enough, and then you just locked in. Okay, I'm not good enough. Then as I grew up, that belief was sabotaging me in certain things I wanted to do. I didn't know this, because I'm trying to achieve and do things with my sport and trying to accomplish goals, and I was almost there, but this belief that I'm not good enough sabotaged it in a way that I busted my shoulder at the time, which laid me up playing football. I was wanting to be the captain of the club. I was vice captain. I was good enough. I wanted to play. I wanted to be captain, and I was kind of primed. Then I busted my shoulder, and and so that kind of sabotaged and ruined my efforts because I was out of the game for a long time. And then I came back, and then I smashed a kidney. So it's like, okay, what's going on here? It just didn't. It was relentless. So when I realized that, I had that I'm not good enough, then there was the awareness. I went, oh my goodness, I'm not good enough. So then I had to set about changing that belief about, and I use affirmations a lot about, wait a minute, of course I am good enough, but you've got to keep working at it. So a belief, until you know what you're dealing with, it's very difficult to change. But what I will say is, before I pass it on, is that if you're not sure of what your limiting belief may be, because it's in the subconscious, as Chris said, look around in your life and see where you're being challenged and seeing where you're struggling. Because your life is telling you where your limiting beliefs are by what the challenges come up, whether it's around money. If you're struggling with money, you've got a limiting belief around money. If it's around health, you have a limiting belief around health. If it's around relationship, whatever it is, there's a belief in there that maybe you're not aware of. So, I mean, people, I've had clients that say, well, I really struggle to trust people. I don't trust people. And that's a big one. They find it. And so what they do is they create scenarios where people come in and betray their trust because they believe that they can't trust people. So that plays out.
You'll always find proof.
That's right. So it's really, if you're not sure what your belief, and anyone watching, if you're not sure what a limiting belief is, look at where you're being challenged in your life, and that will give you a clue. But you may
Yes.
need help in trying to identify or whatever. But that's where we got to look. So
100%. Yeah, our behavior, our beliefs, again, our beliefs guide our behaviors. Our behaviors, they guide the environment that we're in, and we're always going to see the proof.
Yep.
You don't like seeing the proof of it because it's not. When you see the proof of an empowering belief, it's amazing.
Mhm.
I do know one gentleman. Haven't seen him for a long time, but his belief was that whatever I do, I just can't not make money. He just everything he touched turned to gold. That was his belief. And it worked well for him. That worked well for him. He had other beliefs that were showing up totally different that were not working well for him. So yes, he had all the money in the world, but there was other areas in his life that the proof was coming to him that there was other limiting beliefs that he had. That was a belief that he can do no wrong, and everything he touched turns to gold, and it does. And yeah, he's a multi millionaire, and money's not an issue for him. He lives in the same world that I live in. We're all on the same planet. His empowering belief is guiding him that way. Someone else's limiting belief is guiding him somewhere a different way. And proof is always out there, like Dean was saying. Look for the ways that you're being challenged. That's the proof that's going to support that belief, whether it's a good, an empowering or a disempowering belief.
Can I throw one more example
Certainly.
of limiting belief? A fear of authorities. That's the limiting belief.
Mm-hmm.
That really was displayed in my life recently, as you guys might remember.
Yes, it was in
Yes,
spades.
right, that story.
That's right. Yeah.
And I think
That's
that's
really limiting belief.
and there's going to be something probably deeper than just that too. But again, how that is going to influence how you show up in the world. And like Dean said, like they are, for the most part, a lot of our beliefs, they're not ours. We'll take on the beliefs of our parents, of our siblings, whatever we need to be safe in the world as a child, as a kid. And then the beliefs that are forced upon us, they don't stop. Who's doing it always stops. And if you tell somebody something enough times, that becomes a belief. Particularly when you charge that with emotion, that locks it in. But the emotion can also be the thing that unlocks it.
we've got about 10 minutes to go. So
Anybody have any questions? Any thoughts?
I'll quickly say that before we had that discussion with Oleg, I said to myself, if I was in, this is the beauty of our group. If I was in Oleg's position, I would say, "Oh, here comes that shyness. I'll replace it." So that was a key word for me. I'll replace it with confidence, or maybe authority. Ooh, that's a good one for Oleg. I'll replace that shyness with some authority from within. So I thought, oh, that's a good one. But then you, Chris, you took it to another area in your interaction with him, and that really helped. I thought, oh, I've already solved the puzzle, right? Replacement. But then you took it to another area, went through another scenario, and I listened. I thought, oh, that's nice. Yeah, that works too. And to me, it reinforces it. So that's the beauty of looking at many ways of doing the same thing. So thanks for that. Not just, now I'm doubled down on this, on the issue. And thanks, Dean, for the identify.
And as much as I appreciate that, Oleg directed that. I ask him questions. Now, if I say, if like you said, and I respect what you said there, but if I try to replace what it was, that old thing that you can't find anymore, whatever that was, I forget what that even was. If I try to replace that with authority, now that he says he has a bit of a fear of authority, if I try to impart what I would want, that wouldn't work for him, right? It needs to be exactly what he wanted. So when I asked him, when he said confidence, it's like, great. So whatever that means to him is perfect.
Right.
So that was, and again, for you, it might be authority. For Oleg, it was confidence, and it was blue, and it was great. And you're gonna take a nice deep breath now, aren't you, Oleg? And then look for that old thing again and see if you can find it. There you go. And you find that old whatever it was.
So blue could be your power color, Oleg. So if you're going somewhere, you're going on a date, or wear blue.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
Any other?
Yeah, I've heard the blue is the color of leadership.
Right.
It was the color of leadership.
Yeah.
It also not, is it the throat chakra as well?
Yep.
For speaking your truth.
Sure.
Which is leadership as well. Dave, you had your hand up.
I was going to ask you a question, Chris, about hypnosis in general.
Sure.
Do you find that the clients that you have, or the people that you've worked with, have varying levels of receptivity to hypnosis? In other words, do some people kind of really go into a trance, or go there easier than others, and some people struggle to maybe let go of their mind or whatever?
Good question, Dave.
A great question. I'm going to say yes, but a hesitant yes. There are different levels, and a lot of that is if I use one method and it doesn't resonate with that particular person, it may not work with them. If I have some flexibility and I'm able to massage things a little bit here and there, then they'll go in to whatever level they need. A lot of times what happens is people will come in with this preconceived notion that hypnosis is X, and when I'm hypnotized, I'm going to feel whatever it is. They may or may not. For some people, hypnosis it's different for everybody. Again, building that rapport and working with where the client's at. If there's resistance, then just figure out what that resistance is, and let someone go through or go deeper. Now, hypnosis is also a skill. Going into hypnosis is a skill. It's a learned behavior. The more you do it, the easier it is, and the better you become at it, the quicker it becomes. It's like a mental muscle. So the first time when you go and try to get hypnotized, it may seem a little weird to you, and then the next time it's like, okay, well now it's a little more comfortable, and then as you do more, it gets more comfortable. It's kind of like meditation. For me, it's very similar to a meditation. So if you're used to meditating, it's very, I find it very similar. For some people, it's completely different. I've had some people where it's like you put them in hypnosis and they're out, like their muscles their whole body's relaxed, and it's phenomenal. That's not how I go into hypnosis. For me, one of my indicators, my eyelids will start to flutter, almost like it's a strange phenomenon, but that's an indicator for me. So people will go into different depths, and usually with the depth that they go to is what is right for them.
I was raised in a little different time than most of you, a bit older than, but I remember when I was young, there were a number of big names, showmen, who had hypnosis performances, and they would come through, to the big cities. At that time, I was living in the west of Canada, but they'd have the biggest auditorium in the city booked for maybe a 2 or 3 night run. And then sometimes these things were televised, or portions of it were televised. And you had these instances where people, became like animals, or became like they did just really crazy stuff. And it made great television and great entertainment. But I was wondering what the skill these people had to be able to pick the people out of the audience. And I said, I'm sure that, half the audience put their hands up, and then the hypnotist would pick you and you and you. And I thought, and I don't know if I'm right or not, but I thought they must have a skill to know who the right person is to say you and you and you come up. But almost always, virtually everybody went into some kind of a really full trance and did something amazing. So I'm just curious.
Yeah, so there is a skill. It's a great skill, and it's over and above the actual skill of hypnosis. The hypnosis itself is the same. When somebody goes into a deeper trance, they're going to be more receptive to the words, the suggestions. Chances are they're going to be great subjects. Usually with a stage show, there is the induction is going on long before the hypnotist starts the induction, and they're watching people in the audience to see how they're reacting to, could be the music, could be whatever. And for that, they're looking for people, like you said, that are going to be entertaining, because it's entertaining. Someone goes up there and goes into a deep trance, and it just sort of stays within themselves and doesn't do anything, doesn't do anything crazy. It doesn't make for good entertainment. Doesn't make for good TV. So the skill that they have is watching the people and picking out, and typically, there's an extrovert. There's an extrovert. For a stage show, for the most part, you're not going to do anything on stage under hypnosis that you wouldn't do in a bar with your buddies under the influence of a couple tequilas.
Yeah.
If you're the type of person that likes to be the life of the party, that's the one that they want to get up there. The technique itself is the same for getting people into trance. It's the intention. The intention for that is completely entertainment. And as much as I love it, and I've been to shows, I've been up on stage in hypnosis shows. That's not what I do. But so that extra skill that they have is being able to read people and go, okay, he's gonna be a good subject, or she's gonna be funny, and picking up people who are the entertainment.
That makes perfect sense, because I remember in those big shows, there was usually a warm-up act. And the warm-up act was probably a stand-up comedian. And I bet you're absolutely right. The hypnotist was behind the screen or off to the side, and he was watching everybody that was reacting to the warm-up act. And the other thing that those hypnotists had was they had a skill that was beyond just their hypnotist skills. They were showmen, and they had they had stand-up comedian type. They could say things that would make everybody, laugh and whatnot.
Yeah.
So
that's
different that's certainly different from what would we call it? Self-improvement hypnosis.
Self-improvement, sort of a therapeutic.
Self-exploration.
Yes, it's completely different. The mechanics of how it happens really are the same. So the mechanics are the same. It's just, again, it's the intention. And
Cool.
entertainment is amazing, and it's not what I do, but I do appreciate it. And there are some phenomenal
Good
entertainment
result.
hypnotists out there.
Cool.
We are 9 o'clock, so I'm gonna.
Great question. So, yeah, how can people get a hold of you, Chris? You got a website?
I do. It's chrispreebhypnosis.com. So you can look that up. I've got a YouTube
All one
channel.
word. All one word.
Yes, all one word.
How do you spell Chris Priebe? P-R-I.
So CHRISPRIEBE hypnosis.com. And that'll get you to the website. I do have a YouTube channel. I'm putting some content on there as well. And for anybody here, you can shoot me an email as well if you wanted to discuss this anymore. And I just want to thank everybody for the opportunity, and want to check in with Oleg one last time on that confidence that he has. Are we good?
Yeah, you're good.
Awesome.
Good.
So there's going to be a lady show up and test you for that.
There you go. Yeah, watch for the evidence.
Yeah, that's right. That's how it works.
Okay.
Got a
Yeah,
new
that's
lead.
exactly.
Huge.
What was that, Brad?
No, it was just huge. Chris, it was fantastic. It was
Yeah, it
just
was. That was
spectacular.
brilliant.
Yeah.
Thank you
so
very
much.
much. Thank you very much, Chris. That was really helpful and really great explanation.
Beautifully done.
Post this
Beautifully
one,
done.
and I encourage you guys to post it as well. So, all right, gentlemen, that was awesome. Thank you very much, and we'll gather again next month, and we'll give someone else an opportunity, but we'll talk about that a bit later. But that was awesome. Thanks, Chris. Thanks, gents. Stand by, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks, everybody.
Doctor, bye now.